Hello, this is News Review. My name is Lamin Jai. Coming up, New Technology Institute announces plans to train at least 5,000 Gambian youth in a period of 5 years. We'll also have in the program a political commentator who is a former mayoral candidate of the Kanifing municipality, Abubakar Jeng, who would be talking to us on current political issues. First, though, what we will do is we will take a look at the newspapers, beginning with the Point newspaper. The lead story on the Point today says OJ narrates ordeal, how he turns down Jammeh's offer. Also on the Point, we have Kora family protest against appointment of new Bansang Alcalo. There is also this story, vendors attribute scarcity of fish to bad weather. But then we will look at this Kora family story, and it goes, the family of the late Alcalo of Bansang Town, Central River Region, through their lawyer, has written a petition to the Minister of Local Government and Lands against the appointment of Lamin Saibe Dabo as the new Alcalo. Mr. Dabo's appointment came following the demise of late Alhaji Keba Kora in 2018. The deceased was the Alcalo of the town for more than 10 years. His elder brother, Alhaji Bo Kora, one of the first alcalos of Bansang, had assumed the alcaloship of Bansang during colonial days until 1996. He was succeeded by his son, late Alhaji Keba Kora. In the petition letter, the Kora family is claiming that in keeping with the tradition of appointing alcalos as stated in the Local Government Act 2002, we submit that our client, being the next in line, is the rightful person to succeed his brother as Alcalo of Bansang. They also protested that the new Alcalo of Bansang was charged by the Bansang police for aiding and abetting cattle theft while he was Alcalo of Bansang in 2007, which prompted his removal and replacement by the late Alcalo Alhaji Keba Kora, son of the late Alcalo Bo Kora. According to them, the current Alcalo has still not been cleared of the said charges as the matter continues to languish in the court. Therefore, given these circumstances, our client submits that Lamin Saibe Dabo is not a proper and fit person to be appointed the Alcalo of Bansang. However, a source that spoke to the Point newspaper reporter on the condition of anonymity said the Kora family and the people of Bansang were not consulted in the appointment of Lamin Saibe Dabo. In fact, surprisingly, the Alcalo stamp was not handed over to the current Alcalo, but we don't know where he got a stamp. The other story has to do with vendors at Tangi landing site. Fish vendors at the coastal settlement of Tangi in the Kombo South have decried the recent scarcity and hike in the price of fish, which many believe was as a result of change in weather pattern. This change in weather, according to many, has affected many fisher folks and vessels from embarking on their daily fishing routine. Many who spoke to the Point at the Tangi landing site acknowledged the huge amount of money they now spend to buy a basket of fish. Fatu Dabo, a fish vendor and resident of Farato village, said she spends $1,000 sometimes to afford a single basket of fish, which she said normally cost her greatly, putting into account other family obligations. If I tell you the amount of fish we spend on daily basis to buy a single basket of fish as local vendors, it is really unfortunate, she said. We don't know when this situation will change because this can go for some months, keeping fishing boats from going into the sea. Another vendor, Aissatou Jammeh, argued that one of the main reasons that contributed to the recent hike in the price of fish is due to the low involvement of Gambian youth in the industry. That's it for the Point newspaper. We will take a look at some of the stories on the Standard. OJ attacks Bibi Dabo. That's their lead story. The former interim leader of PPP, Omar Jallow, has said that Bakari Dabo, a former vice president in the Jawara government who recently lost the party's leadership election to Papa Njai, has no credibility to lead the PPP because he had once accused the party's regime of endemic corruption. Addressing a press conference to respond to criticisms of fraud in the recent party congress by a splinter PPP group perceived to be supporting Bibi Dabo, which also called for the leadership to resign, OJ alleged that Bibi's credibility was first compromised when he decided to join the AFPRC junta, which overthrew a constitutionally elected government He himself served for 13 years as vice president and minister. He went with Jawara to Senegal and betrayed him to come back to serve as Minister of Finance under Yahya Jammeh. A recent testimony at the TRRC is a clear corroboration and manifestation of that terrible mistake he made, OJ said. The other story we have on the Standard has to do with Emeba, who is a former member of the Gambia Armed Forces, a former general, who the Standard newspaper is reporting that has pledged to support President Barrow's National Development Plan. Emeba, a former interior minister and heavyweight of the APRC, who defected to the United Democratic Party, has declared his support to President Adama Barrow's National Development Plan, the NDP. General Emeba was speaking yesterday in an exclusive interview with the Standard newspaper. He said the National Development Plan is apolitical and requires every Gambian's participation. I am sincerely committed without any reservation to fully support the NDP, a plan already in full motion and yielding positive results in the country, he said. Bah said President Barrow is committed to rapidly transform the Gambia into a model state, admirable and hospitable to all Gambians and non-Gambians. I believe my career as a statesman and a senior military officer can best serve our commander-in-chief by supporting his agenda during this period of transitional governance, he said. General Emeba further commended the president for his demonstrated will to unify and reconcile the people of the Gambia. And I intend to be part of the solution towards bringing peace and stability in the country, especially after hearing him appeal to all of us to join his dynamic crusade to build the new Gambia, he concluded. That's what we have on the Standard newspaper. And now to the Foroyaa newspaper. Foroyaa is reporting that there's a standoff in Gambisara with regard to the caste system there. That story goes, factions in the Gambisara caste issue were called for questioning at the Basse police station. Speaking to the Foroyaa newspaper reporter, Banja Toure of the so-called slave faction said the dispute has been ongoing in Gambisara for quite some time now, but the matter had never reached the Basse police station. Toure said the tension escalated at the end of a football tournament that was ongoing in the village, that one of the two remaining teams at the finals bore the name Gambanaho, meaning oneness and equality, which the so-called Freeborn faction did not want. Toure said the Freeborn faction from Alkali Kunda were not pleased with this name with one of the teams because it is an international organization that fights against domestic slavery in society and advocates for oneness and equality within the Soninke community in the sub-region. A representative of the Rakalo said they do not want to hear such kind of names in the village of Gambisara, that the name of the group is not welcome in Gambisara. He said this was the reason the matter was first reported to the Bakadaji police station. Banja Toure said they were called to the said police station where their statements were taken, that the police told them to reschedule these football finals, and whenever the new date is fixed, the police should be notified, which they did, that the new date that was fixed was 18th January 2019. Toure said before the finals, the Gambanaho team printed many T-shirts for their fans, that upon seeing the T-shirts, the said representative from the so-called Freeborn faction went to report this again to Basse police station, where they were asked to report. When approached for comments, the representative from the so-called Freeborn faction said he will not speak to the press for now. However, no arrest or detention was made by the police from both sides, and the Office of the Commissioner of Police was able to forge a dialogue between the two factions involving some regional authorities. Another story on Foroyaa has to do with the selling of groundnut, no buying of groundnuts at Sekos, written by Abdullahi Jijiba. Farmers in Sekos within the Bara, Kerawan, Kaur, Bansang, Kudang depot circles have informed this medium that there has not been any buying of groundnuts in their respective Sekos since January 15, 2019 due to lack of cash. Farmers across the country have lamented that the trade season this year leaves much to be desired, that anytime one visits the Sekos, the managers will indicate that there is no cash, that they are at the mercy of middlemen who purchase their groundnuts at cutthroat prices since government could not ensure cash availability at the Sekos. to guarantee the buying of their groundnut. They lamented that a lot of groundnut is leaving the country for Senegal due to lack of cash at the SECOS. This, they said, is not good for the economy of the country because groundnut is the major cash crop of the country. When contacted, the SECO managers in these depot circles confirmed that there is no buying of groundnut in their respective SECOs simply because of lack of cash, that they are not also allowed to engage in credit buying. Credit buying was what was keeping groundnuts in the country, but because we are not engaged in credit buying, the groundnut produce is leaving the country, they stated. When asked as to the number of times they are disbursed cash by their financier, the second manager stated that they were disbursed cash only twice from the start of the trade season in December to now. The first one was in December 2018 and the second in January 2019. Maybe the third one will come before the end of February, they told the Foroyaa newspaper reporter. The Foroyaa newspaper reporter is trying to reach the authorities to confirm whether $250 million worth of over 14,000 tons of worth of groundnuts is the only disbursement made so far. Once the authorities are reached, readers will be informed accordingly. So viewers, that's what we have on the Foroyaa newspaper. The last paper we have is the Point newspaper. The Point newspaper is reporting that OJ slams Bibi Dabo, which has also been reported by Foroyaa as AFPRT militant. Rambo Jata is saying that Hamad Bah is a disgrace. Hamad Bah is the Minister of Tourism. That story is not on the paper, so we will skip that. And that will be that for the papers. Like I said before earlier, we have a political commentator who is also a former mayoral candidate for the Kanifing municipality. Abubakar Jeng is in our studios and he will be talking to us about current political issues. Mr. Jeng, welcome to the Father Network.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, first things first, what I want us to start with is President Barrow made a statement, comments a few weeks ago that 2019 will be a turning point. As a political observer, analyst, what does he mean by this?
Actually, first of all, I will start with something that's my principle. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Because talking is something that is very, very, very sensitive. Because of the ones speaking and the ones that are listening, might have some missing of, what the guy talking, is intending, might change things, because they might perceive it, in the wrong way. That's the reason why I seek refuge from Shaitan, who is an enemy to mankind, because it's my principle, So coming back to your question, Barrow came out and made a promise, fine, and maybe he has something that he has prepared for 2019. I think the best thing that he should do is come out with a plan that, okay, 2019 I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm going to do. I think when he comes out that way, I think it will be something that, people can perceive, because, Gambians have been fooled too many times. They've been hearing promises from politicians, and at the end of the day, they see nothing. So to restore the hopes of the people, because right now, people are not stupid. People are not ignorant anymore. And people are exposed, to what is happening around the world, because the world is like a small village right now. Anything that happens, even in this neighboring Senegal, it comes here. Something that happens in the United States and all over the world, we see it, on the media. So if Barrow is coming out to give promises, I think these promises don't have to be vague promises. They have to be clear. It has to be clearly defined, how he's going to do it, to motivate the people. We all know that governance is not easy, and we all know what he inherited when he came into office. So people are not looking for promises. We're looking for practical things. We know it's not going to happen overnight.
But this statement or comment was quickly followed by the launch of the Senegambia Bridge.
I'm actually, as a politician, I can say, as a leader, and looking at the Gambian people, who are desperate to see development, pointing at the bridge, would be something that any politician would do, because at the end of the day, even if it is one step, it's an achievement, that he have achieved during his tenure. Even though it might be something that, it was not initiated by him, but it's something that he implemented, and that's something that he can point at, and nobody can deny that. It's a delivery. So now the question is, what benefits that bridge is going to bring to the economy of this country, and how practical is it? So he has to come out clearly, and restore the hopes of the people. As a leader, you should be able to communicate with the people that you are leading. Gambians need to hear something that they will see themselves in. Like the benefit that will come to the Gambian people.
A lot of people have been winning that President Barrow makes a lot of mistakes. Yeah. As a politician, is this the case?
I'm actually listening to what people say and the way Barrow operates. For me, as a third alternative thinker, I think it's a problem both with the people and the government. The people are being impatient, putting pressure on the government, and the government is responding to these pressures, forgetting, their plans at the end of the day. Sometimes as a leader, you need to be very strong when it comes to the emotions of the people. You cannot satisfy the people. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to come out plain to the people and be real to the people. If things are not going fine, come out to the people and tell people that things aren't going fine because of X, Y, Z. Not just you want to please the people and you tell them things that aren't real. At the end of the day, you'll have a setback. The truth will set you free. Barrow should learn to tell the people the truth. He has to be real. What is there on the ground, he has to communicate that to the people. Because with the people and him, then Gambia will have progress. It's partnership. His government and the people are the ones that are going to make Gambia work. And his national development plan, for it to work and the implementation become easy, it has to be him partnering with the public. That is the Gambian citizens, both inside the country and abroad. And we should mature right now because we are in a situation.
How about this argument that he's surrounded by people who have limited understanding when it comes to governance? That is what is affecting his performance.
And that you cannot judge. My own opinion about what's happening right now, it's not about inexperience. It's about being a patriot. Everybody that goes into office, one thing should be at the back of your mind. I'm into office because of the Gambia. I come to deliver. But if you come to deliver yourself, like if that selfishness is there, at the end of the day, you will not deliver. No matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how much experience you have, you'll get lost along the way. Because government has an agenda. And the agenda is played by the president and the cabinet. It's just like a team. So if one part of the team is not functional, at the end of the day, they will have a problem. They will not deliver. So all the aspects of government should be active. And they should be very effective when it comes to implementing what the National Development Plan dictates. And it has to start from the president. He has to be the key player. He has to be someone that motivates. He has to be someone that engages and communicates well, because he's the driver here. But if the driver is not that too powerful to drive, whatever he is driving, at the end of the day, you'll have breaks. And one thing Barrow has to understand, that he is in charge. He's the boss. And he should demonstrate that, not to abuse power, but he should demonstrate that, to be able to move the team that is around him to deliver the National Development Plan. And it takes a visionary who is real to be able to push this and make it happen.
So let's talk about the 3 years, 5 years pantomime. What do you make of that? What's your position?
My position in this is either two ways. Barrow steps down after the 3 years, or he goes for the 5 years. To me, it doesn't make any difference.
But then
all I want to see,
there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of controversy around this.
All I want to hear from Barrow is, what is his plan? Because he was there in the initial state. Is he going for the 3 years or the 5 years? He has to come out open.
But I think he has done that clearly.
He's the key.
But Barrow is of a mind to stay on beyond 3 years.
For me,
That is the understanding out there.
For me, I don't have a problem with that. But after the 3 years or after the 5 years, what? That is the question I want to ask here. If he steps down after the 3 years, now what? If he steps down after 5 years, now what? What is the alternative there? What is the plan? I think right now they have to start preparing and focusing on Gambia right now and the things they need to implement, and forget about politics right now. Because right now, all I see is power struggle. The ones that are not in power are fighting to grab power. And the one in power is trying to tighten his grip on power. So right now, they're all distracted from what they're supposed to do. That's the reason why.
What's the best way out of such a rigmarole, such a fuss?
It takes the individual. It's inside out. All of them need to sit themselves in the corner and look at Gambia and prioritize the country and the country's welfare and development. It has to be a priority on all of them. All of them need to change their mindset. It takes the mindset to change for everything around the minds to change. For circumstances to change, it has to start from the individuals that are involved. The ones that are saying they want power and they're criticizing and they're oppositions and they're saying things, they need to sit down and ask themselves this question: why do we want to go in power? What do we have different that the government don't have? Rather than sitting down there and using that mentality of, yeah, it's us against the government. We are not in a war here. We are not in a fight here. This is about Gambia, and Gambia is bigger than all of them. They need to put the country and the people first. People are suffering in this country, The economy is just crap. The economy is going down.
Whose fault is that?
The fault of this is all of us, the government and the people. Because right now we've all forgotten the priorities that we should prioritize, and now we are fighting over power. When you look at the WhatsApp groups, all I could hear is fight and character assassination and defense. Throwing words and pointing fingers. Just look at the newspapers. It's just some immaturity that I'm seeing right now. Finger pointing, character assassination, like putting your opponent down so that you can shine. And we don't want to see this. We have an issue right now. They should table the issue like, what can we do to rescue this country from crashing economically and socially? We are breaking. And these people are so selfish that they are not focusing on what is breaking, and they are focusing on themselves to remain in power. And the ones that are outside are focusing on how to get on the throne. This is not what we want to see. Let them sit down and talk. If the politicians that are outside power have something special, let them share it. Why are they keeping it? Let them come out with it. If the economy is crashing and they have a solution to it, let them come out. For the sake of the Gambian people. And one thing we have to put at the back of our minds, only Adama Barrow cannot run this country and his cabinet. This country is vast. And we have a lot of issues that are around us that are very complex. It takes everybody. Even the one that sells groundnut in the streets. Everybody has to be, a participant in this. For us to sit down on a round table and engage one another and put the reality in front of us and stop fighting. Once we don't stop fighting, we can never get there. No matter how much we recognize the problem, we can never come up with a solution because we're busy fighting. The dust has to settle first for us to be able to see the path.
Let's talk about other issues. The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission has started work has started hearings. This commission is one of the, one would say, one of the biggest achievements of the President Adama Barrow government. What is your take on the TRRC?
For the TRRC, to comment on it for now, will be very difficult. But as I've been following it, but I feel that some of the issues and the cases, have to be handled in private, not to air it, because at the end of the day, you are talking about reconciliation. Enmity is going to build, hatred is going to come on the table, and instead of solving the problems, it's going to bring division. You're talking about reconciliation, bringing people together. And there are certain issues that are so disturbing. Everybody that sits there is connected to a family. We're all interconnected. It has to be dealt with in a mature way. They can do their investigations. There are certain cases and certain things that should not be aired. They should set up like a special board that should treat these issues in private, not to come out with it open. Because it's not going to do the job. It's not going to reconcile anybody. It's going to bring fight. It's going to renew the wounds that were there in the hearts. And once those wounds are renewed, you know, it's going to bring a problem instead of bringing a solution. So I think they need to sit down and revisit and rethink.
How about this? A lot of people online, Gambians, are advocating for the firing, the termination of people who have been implicated, people who are either working with the central government or various line departments of government, that these people, they should be removed from whatever job that they are doing in government, since their names have been mentioned at the TRRC.
One thing, brother, we have to put at the back of our mind, there's nobody that doesn't make mistakes. Everybody that was part of that government, in one way or the other, you've made mistakes. And we cannot just sit down and banish everybody. Then who is going to work? Because everybody that you scrutinize in the system, in one way or the other, you must have stepped on toes or made mistakes.
But here we're talking about some very sick things, human rights violations, abuses. Those are very, very serious issues.
But we need to look at the circumstances that were around those days. You know, circumstances make you who you are. There was a reason why that was triggered. The environment there was not that conducive for one to think properly and positively. It has passed and gone. They want to reconcile. They want to compensate that people that were affected. Yesterday is gone, because if we want to go back to those pages, it's going to drag this country backwards because of that individual that you're going to bring. Remember, it's not he's not alone. Even though he has committed some atrocities, he has harmed. That individual would be brought to justice. But imagine if you bring that individual to justice, how many people are you harming? It needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of thinking. It should not be just like a ride that we just all jump in and say, okay, yeah, TRRC, you know, this was what was happening. This was like during the time of Jammeh, I was tortured, I was done this, and this guy did this to me, this guy did that to me. It's going to bring chaos.
But then what people are saying is that there cannot be any reconciliation without justice. So to you, justice is not important. What is important?
Justice is very important.
To find a way of
justice is very important, but yes, the way you approach that justice, that's what I'm saying. I'm airing some of the things that happened in the past, coming with it on air.
But then the truth has to be revealed first, has to be known.
But to who?
That is a truth revealing process.
I mean, the relevance here, to who? There should be a board that should be responsible for that. They should scrutinize the things that they should air or not. It's a live program. They can have it and record it and edit some of the things. And like, if it is necessary for them to air it, let them air it for people to learn from the past. But there are some horrible things.
But don't you think it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for people to reconcile without them knowing the truth?
And who is going to reconcile here? Who is the
everybody.
Target? Who is the target group
the
here?
People.
Not everybody is affected in this case. Not everybody is affected. Not every Gambian is affected. They should identify their target group. Whom are they reconciling? It should be identified.
Don't you think that's going to be cumbersome, very tedious?
No, but at least
this issue of finding a target.
But it's not everybody that's affected. Are you affected? Am I affected?
Maybe I am not affected.
I mean, there are people that are specifically affected. What I'm saying is, this is my opinion, this is my take on things.
Of course.
The way I'm seeing things going, it's not going to help. It's going to separate rather to reconcile. It's not going to bring people together. No way. It's not going to bring people together. And people will sit there on the table, even though they swear, but some might exaggerate things. How would they know that it's the truth? There is only human beings that are sitting there coordinating these issues. They're only humans. and they only depend on what they are told.
So there is a risk of exaggeration.
Exactly. There's a risk of exaggeration. There's a risk of telling lies, and you just don't predict people, because it has something to do with like compensating. You know, everybody want to be compensated. You know, everybody want to walk away with something at the end of the day. So it's very complex here. It's very complex. I'm just being open-minded because that's the way I think. I believe that it has to be properly done. I'm not saying it's not properly done, but it has to take certain approaches. What has to be aired needs to be really scrutinized. It has to be really scrutinized. And who has to be aired should be really scrutinized. It's the media. What comes out goes a far way. Who knows what can happen on the ground? Someone can revenge. Because it's someone's father that you touch.
So far, do you think the media is doing a good job?
Actually, the media is doing fantastic, but the media is just there to carry information and spread information. But what the media brings out, this is the most important thing. Right now, Gambia, we are at a stage of learning. What would the young generation learn from this? What would the posterity learn from this? What would it trigger in them? Anger, resentment. At the end of the day, no matter how much we hurt each other, we're brothers. We're partners in the development of this country. And anything that will bring obstacles for us to reach our destination, I think we should avoid these things. That's the reason why we have different levels of approaching things even at home. Before, you have the village heads, you know, you have the imams. You know, when trouble breaks from the house, there's a way to deal with things. We are a cultured people. We are a cultured people. We have to involve every person that is part of this country. The culture, the religion, because we have two major religions here, Islam and Christianity. All of them have to be involved. I see them sitting down there on the table, but they need to sit down and think of ways to approach this issue at different levels. What has to come out of the media should come out of the media. To me, it might cause trouble.
Mr. Abubakar Jeng, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
That was Abubakar Jeng, a political commentator there speaking to the FATU network. A new technology institute, the Indian Institute of Hardware Technology, has announced plans to train at least 5,000 Gambian youths in a period of 5 years. The founder, Mr. Usman Bah, and the Institute's managing director, Mr. Gay, have been talking to the FATU network about this project. From the FATU network, with me I have Mr. Usman Bah, a top Gambian tech mind based in the United States of America, who is back in the country with a new institute, the Indian Institute of Hardware Technology. He's the brain behind this project, a project that is aimed at training at least 5,000 Gambians in 5 years. I have him and also Mr. Jeng, Mr. Ibu Job, who is the managing director of the institute. Mr. Job, Mr. Ba, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So can you tell us, what is this institute all about?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here this afternoon. The Institute of IIHT has been founded in 1993 in India, Bangalore, which is the maker of the technology in India. So this institute specializes in training youths and professionals in hands-on IT, from ranging from cloud computing, Android development, network system administrators, Java admin, so forth. So we have a variety of programs that we offer. So, but the difference between us and many of the other institutions that are out here, or other colleges or universities, is we tailor our program, we customize our program based on the job description, on what the industry needs. So for example, we partner with tech companies, I would say Cisco, Intel, Google and look at the job description for their system administrator or for their system engineer, and take those job descriptions and develop our curriculum based on those job descriptions. So what that really does is when the person finishes that program, they are able to do the job on day one. So, and that's what an employer is looking for really, instead of having to retrain your employee 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That costs a lot of money. So IIHT come to fill that gap between an academic training and from also the non-academic. So we come in the middle to fill that gap.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
You are a technology expert. Why is technology so important, and why the need to train Gambians? We understand you're targeting young people. Why the need to train Gambians in this area?
I believe that in this world we live in the digital world we live in, information flows so quick, so fast. And where I live in the Silicon Valley, every single day somebody's building something. Every single minute that you blink your eyes, somebody's trying to create something. That excitement and living in that environment for over 20 years, I feel if they can do it there, why can't we? What's the difference? They have 5 fingers, 2 hands, 2 eyes. Everything they have, we have it. So why did I want to bring it to the Gambia for the youth? Because if you look at Gambia today, based on the statistics that at least that I've read, 67% of the Gambians are considered under the age of 25. So 47% based on statistical data are between the age of 13 and 30. So 60% are considered under the what we call domestic youth terms. So looking at that population in the next 5 to 10 years, those people who are 13 going to be 23, some going to be 18 in 5 years. So we have to give them something, prepare them for the future. And it is this current generation that has to prepare them for the next generation so that they can help this nation to move forward.
Mr. Job, let me come to you. Your institute, IIDT,
IIHT.
yeah, okay. This is one of the newest technology institutes in the country. You are the managing director. Can you tell us some basic facts about your institute? When was it launched, for example? When was it founded, and what are some of the things specifically that the institute would be doing?
So, good afternoon. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here today to share the mission, the vision of IIHT with our Gambian brothers and sisters. Yes, this started coming to be 2 years now when the idea came up, and then I was contacted by Usman while he was in America. So we discussed about the initiative, and I told him that it is something that I will appreciate as a Gambian, because this is what we need to drive this country forward. I told him, okay, I will definitely do everything possible so that we can make this happen in the Gambia, because at the end of the day, the Gambians will benefit, the economy will benefit, the nation will benefit. We started the process. I went to India to inspect the parent company and then look at the qualities and standards, particularly in the area of academic. And I also met some of the directors there, the president of the company. We have gone through so many things, the course structure, the program, the learning outcomes, and I had the opportunity also to see their partners and the areas they partner with them. So when I came back, I prepared a report, and I told Usman that actually I'm very convinced, and I believe that actually bringing this institution in the Gambia would be an added value to the lives of our people. And actually this would also help businesses to flourish, because there is no business entity in this 21st century that can go without technology. And actually, technology is going very fast. It's changing very fast. And we need people who are very dynamic, who are ready to take all challenges and then make sure that actually we give our people, society, the institutions, businesses what they need. So I told him that we have to get this done, and then we have to work and then make sure that the environment would become a learning environment, and we try to put everything in place to make sure that those who are coming to learn will go out with something.
So as of now, where those things stand?
No, we've started the process, just as I said, until last week Saturday when we inaugurated the center, and then we were able to provide everything that is needed as an IT center. Actually, we have provided everything, and all the equipment devices came from America. We tried to set it up in line with international standards. The standards you will find in UK, the standards you will find in America, the one you will find in India, exactly the same thing you will find here.
We also understand you plan to train at least 5,000 young Gambians in a period of 5 years.
That is very possible. That is very, very, very possible, particularly like the way we've started, because we've started last week recruiting classes. Normal classes will start next week, but we've started recruiting students, and the turnout is absolutely really very positive, which I hope in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, of course, we will definitely really realize our objectives. That is our objective, and we will definitely really get
Mr. Ba, let me come to you. Sure. You have been away for a long time as a Gambian. What does this mean to you? Because of recent we've seen a lot of Gambians coming back home, coming up with new initiatives as a way of helping, playing their own part, contributing. Mm-hmm. What does this mean to you?
To be honest with you and everybody watching, this is more of a fulfillment to me than anything else. Nothing would make me more proud to see a young Gambian graduate from IIHT and build a software application or an app that the Gambian citizens can benefit or make good use of. That to me would be a fulfillment. That's a dream come true for me, because when I was living here in '89, I didn't know nothing about computers. So with the experience that I have, able to manage and run corporation in the US for many, many years, I want to give the same opportunity to the young that are coming to take over this country. That's what that means to me.
A great idea, clearly, but did you make, someone who has been in the US for a very long time, did you make any groundwork as a way of making sure that whatever project that you're bringing to the Gambia succeeds?
Yes, I did a lot of homework. This been 3 years in the works. First of all, every 2 years or 3 years I come to the Gambia. So what I looked at is there's a lot of jobs in the Gambia, but the complaints I get from friends, family, colleagues is that we don't have the right technology in place here to really speed things up. Okay, whenever I hear that, I look at the education sector. I know we have some challenges in the education sector. And my passion is all boiled down to passion. My passion is education. My passion is technology. These are where, when I talk about education, when I talk about technology, I'm happy, in all honesty. So I said to myself, let me see if this is something I can bring to the Gambia. So I look at the Gambia University, how many graduates graduate there every year, how many get job. I look at how many dropped out, because they couldn't afford the fees one way or the other. And I look at all the 10 IT institutions that are here, how many programs they offer. Then I start to talk to the financial institutions and ask them, in your field, what kind of IT folks are you looking for? For the folks that are maintaining your servers or your network, where they come from? Are they Gambians? So these are the kind of questions I start asking to look at if this is something that would benefit the market in the Gambia, one. Two is this is something that people would embrace. You know. So after doing that, I went back to the US and started doing more analytical stuff as far as looking all the other IT institutions out there. There were few in Singapore, there's few in the US that are very good. But what I came to IIHT was the way they tailor the programs, the way they build the programs. It's not just generic, it's customized. So that was the winning for me. So I said to myself, now let me find the right people who I can bring to help me get this up and running. So that took time, that took almost a year, you know, because it was very difficult to me I approach a lot of people, you know, my friends as well. But it's very difficult when you have to invest $6–7 million in one project and you're not thinking, wait a minute, I'm not gonna be there all the time, you know, during the process, how this gonna work. But I have faith and I have good mentors and coaches that really connected me with this guy, Ibu Job. So at the end of the day, to summarize things is, I believe that this will work. I believe that it's different. I believe that it's a great product, and I believe our country needs it, because the last 22 years, we have been locked up in the global war. So for this, what I advise every parent that's looking or watching or listening is to come and look at our instructors, sit in the classroom, and for 15 minutes and see what we have to offer.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Job. Your company, you have a parent company in faraway India. But can you tell us, do you have, because we know you have some other institutes in the country that specialize in the area of technology. So how is your collaboration like with these institutions, including even government?
Yes, the fact is that this is a franchise company. That I'm saying. So when you work with them, actually, you have to apply uniformity, like the way things are done, starting from the course, curriculum, the delivery methodology, and things like that. So actually, the fact is that it can be differentiated in the sense that actually we have one problem in the Gambia here, particularly when it comes to the IT sector. We have seen people who will join a course, come back from the program with a very attractive salary and attractive certificate and transcript. When you put them on a job, really they will become disabled. And actually, the disabled of the personnel would lead to the disabled of the the institute, because if the personnel cannot deliver according to expectation, actually the company will end up having problem. And that will not only help in the reformation of the economy, the nation, the economy only, but the nation at large. So technically, what we have seen, observed from them, the course and how current their programs are, because actually, as I said earlier, technology is advancing every second. So whatever you're giving to these young people, it must be something that is very current. You have to bring them up to date. And whatever we use in our institutions, sometimes we do introduce devices, equipments, which are very current, and then to have the labor force to operate that device or to make it function effectively would be a problem. Why? Because of people are working with outdated skills, knowledge, experience, etc., etc. So actually, well, main objective is to deliver something that is absolutely current, very up to date, and something that goes in line with this 21st century, etc., etc. And that will have a general impact, not only to the individual, but to institutions and then the nation at large.
How many programs are you offering
right now?
That will be all for News Review today. My name is Lamin Jai. Goodbye until tomorrow.